Hey guys, how you guys doing tonight? I hope good. It is good to see you all again. Yes, I'm tired. So much to go over. So much. So let me say hi to everyone. What's up, members, Patreon, subs, everyone in between, former members, former Patreons, subs, haters, lurkers, liars, drama community, and everyone in between. I'm still like shaking from something I read, so bear with me a minute. Yeah, as you guys know, besides yesterday morning for a couple minutes, I haven't been around for days, despite the lies that keep running around. And yeah, this case is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, I just found out about it tonight. And then I started doing some research. I'm like, oh my God, I got to cover this. I wasn't even going to go live tonight. I really want to go back to bed. But, whew, this case is big. But before I get into that, a couple things. My first question is, I'm redesigning stuff with candles. And I can't decide if I want to order more black vessels or more white vessels. So I'm going to do a poll that's going to run throughout the night. Alright. So I had this idea, and so I'm just going to leave it up there before I order them. Let me know what you guys think. So, yeah. And that's going to be a running poll. And then I'll tell you guys what I plan on doing. But I'll tell you guys that at the end of the night. Hey, Robbie. Well, I have an idea. I really got an idea. So, but I'm not going to say anything yet. But just give me an idea. I want to know which way I should go, if not both, and it all depends. So, hey, Amanda, so I'm just going to keep that up there. A couple things I want to discuss before I get into the case. Did anyone watch the Gabby Petito movie? It is by far the worst movie I've ever seen on Lifetime in my entire life. If I was her family, I would be absolutely embarrassed and mortified at this movie. It was awful. Not only was it rushed, it was, I couldn't even watch it. It was that bad. There are plenty of teenagers they could have used for the roles. They did not need to use people in their 30s, maybe late 20s that, you know, kind of resembled them. Their acting was awful. Everything about it was awful. There was nothing good in it. I'm not even sure they got the timelines right, but everything was so rushed and so poorly done, it was embarrassing. I mean, and I sometimes like Lifetime movies. It was the worst Lifetime movie I've ever seen. You can watch it on YouTube. Let me give you the link for some of the people that got away with the algorithms. Hold on. Where's my history? Because some of the, there are people that always get away with it on YouTube because of the country they live in. Whoop. Alright, history. Here you go. Boop. There's one movie that I found. It's how I watched it. So if you can watch YouTube, you should be able to get it on there. But I promise you, it is the worst movie you've ever seen in your entire life. It is that bad. just to give you an idea, all right? Just so you know you haven't missed much, check it out. Hang on. I'll give you a sneak preview. Whoop. Here's a sneak preview of how bad it is.
It's the law.
What school you going to?
Allow you.
CW Post.
Hi! Oh my gosh! It's so nice to see you.
That's cool. Living that city life.
You'd love it, I'm telling you. Just come visit me any weekend night. You'd wish you went to college.
Oh, yeah. Hi. Ryan.
Holy crap. Gabby.
Hi. I did not expect to see you here.
You know this loser?
As a matter of fact, I do. We were really good friends in high school.
Yeah, we were.
Wow, it's crazy. It's been a minute. But I really a week ago. And you know how these things work. Once you gain enough followers, you can monetize.
Okay. Well, not gonna count our money just yet.
Brian, why are you trying to discourage me?
Not trying to discourage you. I'm just like, trying to manage your expectations. Why would anybody want to watch our vacation pics?
Never mind, you don't get it.
No, I totally get it. We're #VanLifers. Yes.
Why don't you want to expand your life and grow, Like, instead of putting my stuff down, you should do your own thing. Like your artwork, it's so good. You should put that up online.
I don't want to commercialize, all right? That's... Okay, all right, yeah. Let's see what the legions of followers of Gabby the Great have.
Is this like the dumbest shit you've ever seen?
Wow, congratulations. You've made a virtual men's room wall.
No.
Yeah, why don't you dump the cue wall?
Now, let me also say, some of what you're seeing is how to bypass the algorithm. So the recording, like Lifetime movie wasn't this bad as far as the way the scene is. That's just to bypass the algorithm. But just like, check out the acting.
Because I love the cue ball.
Shut up.
It's true. Here on men is just like so over. I can't tell you from the rock.
No.
Hey, that's cool too, but you know what? I'll see you next time. I'll see you. Oh, want to give you a tongue treat?
Okay.
Yeah. Here, try this out.
Thanks.
Yeah.
My God. I want my whole life to be like this, Peach. This is delicious.
That's right.
Thanks.
Make sure to check out the rest of the market.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Can you please try not to track dirt and sand into the van?
We're camping in the wilderness, Gabby, so like sand and dirt, they're gonna happen.
I work really hard to make this a home.
Damn it, Gabby, it's just a van, all right? So I don't understand why you have to be so OCD. It's just a little dirt.
You're in a great mood.
Well, yeah, because I saw you flirting with that guy back there.
What guy?
This Peach is my life guy.
Wait, the produce guy?
Yeah.
Oh, he was just being friendly. That's
Oh
his
my
job.
God, you're so stupid. Really? Like, I was right there. I mean, like, that's what guys do, but you're just like, oh, everyone's so nice. All those guys on the internet, they're just being goofy.
What is wrong with you? You always have to find something to fight about.
Yeah, because I'm sick of this.
I'm not dealing with this right now.
No. You don't get to shut me out. I have every right to be pissed at you.
Let go of me. I want to get my laptop.
Why, so you can read more comments about how hot you are?
Brian.
No.
Let go of me!
Alright, we're gonna walk away from each other right now because you need to calm down.
I want to get in the van!
No, you're not gonna, alright? Hey! How you like that, huh? Gabby. You're causing a scene right now. Causing a scene, so you need to get out of here right now. Get in the van, Gabby. Get in the van. Get in the van. Get in the van.
Always will.
Law enforcement agencies. So at this time, I'm going to allow Joe.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi. What I need from everyone here is help. Because the goal is still not met, and the goal is to bring Gabby home safe. I'm asking help from everyone here. I'm asking help from everyone at home. I'm asking help from the parents of Brian. You know, there's a tip line that you can call in anonymously. Whatever you can do to make sure my daughter comes home, I'm...
Now, again, remember, some of what you're seeing, like these weird shots, that's just to bypass the algorithm. The original movie isn't weird shot like that. And I have to stress that.
I'm asking for that help. There is nothing else that matters to me. This girl, this is what matters.
Like that right there, that's just them bypassing the algorithm.
Thank you.
What is Brian's side of the story?
Brian Laundrie continues to exercise his Fifth Amendment rights to remain silent. All I can tell you is that 2 people went on a trip and one of them returned. And that person who returned isn't providing.
Like, even this lead detective is awful. Like, everybody is awful. The acting is fucking horrible.
Us any information. At this time, I want to read a statement on behalf of the Petito family to Brian Laundrie. If you or your family have any decency left, please tell us where Gabby is located. Tell us if we are even looking in the right place. All we want is for Gabby to come home. Please help us make that happen. We haven't been able to sleep or eat, and our lives are falling apart.
Dramatic video of missing person Gabby Petito and her fiancé Brian Laundrie has just been made available in this exclusive first look.
And it's been really stressful, and he doesn't really believe I can do any of it, so that's kind of in my head. And I don't know, he's just kind of a downer. I don't know, this morning we were just fighting and he wouldn't let me in the car before.
Apparently pulled over after a 911
Don't you guys see what's going on?
Incident of domestic abuse.
In a story that has captured national attention, everyone seems to be asking the same question. Where is Gabby?
Bring Gabby home!
We got officers on the scene. Okay.
Come on, speak up! Where's Gabby? Where is she?
Get him!
Give up your son!
This is for Gabby.
Get his face when they bring him out. Ooh, and go tight on the cuffs.
Is Brian under arrest?
Did he tell you where Gabby is?
What are you charging him with?
All right, listen. An arrest warrant was issued for Brian Laundrie because it is believed that he used Gabby Petito's debit card without authorization.
So you are arresting
missing him.
Folks, Brian isn't here.
Well, where is
everybody? Now, according to his parents, Brian left a few days ago. And no one has any idea where he is.
Tell us about your friendship with Gabby. What kinds of things did you do?
We had this joke that she was my, what do we call her? My emotional service human. And just she would just always be cheering me up, you know?
And what was her relationship with Brian like? I'm sorry, what is it like?
Thank you. On the outside, he could be very charismatic. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Gabby loves him. But, you know, just like any couple, like they had their arguments.
Brian is not talking to the police. What is your message to him?
If he just gave us any bit of information, anything that would give us a place to start. I just want to find my friend.
So now right there, you'll see it. Brian's mother is heading to the shed in their backyard. Right here, you can see that she wants to make sure no one's watching. And there, you can see him. Brian's in the shed. It's clear they're keeping him back there. I don't know why the hell the cops aren't taking this seriously.
I think all of them are wrong. I think she's still alive and out there someplace. I think they just got into another big-ass fight. I mean, this guy's a hothead, but he doesn't look like a killer to me. Now, you can always tell a killer by his eyes. Always. Brian's got eyes more like you see in a Wall Street bad guy. I could see him driving away and leaving her stuck by herself, but nah.
On August 29th, my boyfriend and I actually picked up Brian at Grand Teton National Park sometime at night. When I saw him on TikTok, I recognized him as the same guy. Anyway, he said that he needed to go to Jackson, and we said hop in because we were going there.
What I find interesting about that, this was a blonde girl with white hair, a white girl with blonde hair. Why did they use an Asian girl to play her? Like, this is so fucking weird.
We made small talk, and he said that he had been camping for multiple days without his fiance. He did mention his fiance and said that she was back at their van working on their social media page. And then all of a sudden, he just freaks out. He's like, I gotta get out right now. So we pulled over at the Jackson Dam, and he kind of like hurried out of the car. He had some scruff, but for someone who had been camping for several days, he didn't look dirty, he didn't smell dirty, and that part was kind of weird.
Weeding out all the nut jobs, we've got several eyewitness accounts that are clicking together to give us maybe a useful narrative. Let's talk about the couple that said they picked up Brian Laundrie hitchhiking. And let's assume, for the moment, he did kill this poor girl. He has just killed his fiancée. He's panicking. He decides to just leave everything behind, get the hell out of there. He's picked up by Miranda Baker and her boyfriend. He makes up an alibi about camping by himself while Gabby is back at the van alone. Maybe his story is gonna be some stranger found her out there, killed her while he was away. Who knows? But at some point on his behind, as she tells it, he freaks and decides to bail. 6 minutes later, he gets another ride, this time taking him back to the campground he came from. But here's the thing, not all the way. The driver said he was willing to take him further into the camp, which is a huge spread out site. But he says he'd rather walk. I mean, wouldn't want them to drive him right to the murder scene, would he? He buries her. He cleans the site best he can. He packs up everything that would show he was ever there. And he drives off. 2 days later, he arrives back in Florida all by his lonesome. So if these witnesses are credible, and I believe they are, if Laundrie did in fact kill Gabby, she'd be somewhere out here in these 5 or 6 square miles.
alive in 4, 3.
Searchers are trying to keep up hope, but so far the search for Gabby Petito remains a frustrating dead end. The National Park Service, as well as local law enforcement agencies, say they will continue ground surveys as long as daylight allows.
SAR Team 3, we spotted something about a half-mile east of your location. A patch of earth that you might want to take a look at.
Roger that. What do we got? Look.
Hello?
And we're out here at the Wyoming Command Center in search for missing woman Gabby Petito, and I've just received some very sad news.
Not once did they give credit to Red, Blue, and Bethane, whatever the name is. White, Red, Blue, and Bethane. Not once did they give credit to them in this movie. They wouldn't have found Gabby if not for her and if not for them. And I cannot believe they left that out of the movie. That is like one of the biggest parts of this movie and of this story. And they fucking totally skipped over it. I'm blown away.
News. I've just been informed that a search party has come across the remains of a young woman, and by all indications, it appears to be the body of Gabby Petito. Since Brian Laundrie's whereabouts are still unknown, there's been speculation he may have received help from his parents to avoid questioning.
Hand me those. It's just his damn mother.
You need to tell your clients that they're coming dangerously close to an obstruction charge.
Brian's parents, as I've said before, have no knowledge of their son's whereabouts.
Right. His mother just happened to know where her son parked his Mustang in 25,000 acres of wilderness.
It would appear so.
Did you read the coroner's report?
Of course I read it.
Official cause of death, manual strangulation and throttling.
I'm waiting for a point.
The point? This is who you are protecting.
Oh, hi. I know who you are, Rose.
I just can't shake this feeling that I have in my gut that there was something else I could have done.
There wasn't.
I mean, I knew her relationship was rocky, and...
Oh. do you think she would have let you stop her?
No.
Yeah, so... what could you have done? Look, Gabby, she,
By the way, Rose is the best actress in this whole movie. Can I turn it off now, though? Do you guys get the drift of how bad this is? It was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
She lived her life exactly how she wanted to. You know, that's part of what we all loved about her. Some of these the thoughts that you've been having, they've been torturing me too. But we can't let them. You know, we're gonna be missing her for the rest of our lives. So we have to figure out a way to live with that.
How?
Just by remembering the good. I mean, it's rough. It's going to be rough. But there are a lot of us, Rose. And
She genuinely cared. My daughter lived a short life, but she lived an inspiring one. I want you to look at the pictures around this room, and I want you to be inspired by them. We've gotten emails from around the country from people that Gabby touched. People who want to live their lives bigger, people who want to... They want to get rid of the things that are holding them back. And that's the most important thing. If you're in a relationship that might not be the best thing for you, leave it. Leave it now. Gabby's the most amazing person I've ever met. I could not be more proud of her as a father.
I really am sorry. Gabby, I need you to forgive me if I'm going to. You'd probably let me do it, wouldn't you? You'd let me do it if you were here. Okay.
I mean, that's the question, isn't it? What finally made Brian snap?
I'm gonna get back on my meds. I'm gonna make something of myself for you because I want to build a future together. So things are gonna change, okay? And I just need you to give me the chance to prove that.
Brian. I love you. I do. I always will. But we're not good together.
No, Gabby,
Listen to me.
No,
Listen to me. You're not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. It's just this trip has shown me what it would be like if we stayed together. And all we do is fight.
It's not true. That's not all we
Brian,
do.
we fight every day. And I don't want my life to be like that. And I don't.
I've had enough. But you guys get the drift of how bad this movie was. It was a travesty of this whole case. Awful. Hold on, let me find chat again. Absolutely awful. I couldn't even believe how bad it is. I really couldn't. I'm like, wow. It's that bad. But yep, it's that bad. That's what I'm saying. There was like nothing good about it. So I didn't really want to spend this much time on it, but I just had to tell you guys. G of Twins, yes. I just had to show you guys how awful this movie was, because I just, wow. Just wow. Totally not worth buying. I mean, totally not worth seeing. It was awful. Absolutely awful. It really was a complete travesty to the entire case. Well, I'm sure a lot of it is just made up, but it was horrible. But I'll give you the link again. If you want to watch it on your own, you don't have Lifetime. There you go. But it was very, very rushed. Hey, Melody, it was very, very rushed, and it was just awful. Awful, awful. So, all right. There's a new case I want to talk about. Hey, Steph, no, you don't need to waste your time seeing it. It's that bad. It is disrespectful. I agree. All right. If you are my Facebook friend and you are watching this, do not text anything in a group or everybody will see it. I'm telling you right now. Let me see if I can change this. Hold on. Okay. I can do it like this. All right. Whoop. So I came across, I can't lie, I didn't actually come across this case. Somebody gave me this case. One of my Patreons had told me about this case. And I said, oh, I never heard of it. So I decided to do some research on it, and I cannot even believe what I was reading. I can't. It is one of the most shocking, unbelievable cases I have heard about in a long time. It involves a 12-year-old boy from Yorktown, Virginia. This boy was ruled a suicide. This was absolutely not a suicide. They dismissed it immediately. There's a change.org that right now is about 25,000 signatures. The link is in my description. I cannot even begin to tell you how aggravated I got just learning about this case. Like, whoa. Just whoa. So let me give you some background. From what I understand, there's a private investigator that is doing the Facebook group. Hold on. All right. So I'm going to go through the Facebook group. Oh, you live there, Green Eyed Pea? No way. So let me go ahead and I'm going to share the Facebook group with you guys and go through it with you guys. And because I can't with this. This police department is absolutely vile and disgusting and should be, all of them should be taken away. Oh, hang on. Bear with me. All right. So this is the house he lived in. First, I'm going to show you guys the video.
They have told me a few times that they really don't know how to investigate this kind of murder case because it's really complicated. they don't have the experience, they have never seen something like this before, then please do me the favor and turn it over to the state police or FBI who do it all the time. We just had amazing vacation. He just got back on a Sunday. It was the reward for the kids. He had got all A's. He was in a very good spirit. It was like a regular day. And my mom comes out. She's like in a hurry. The doctor's office called and said, hey, she needs an EKG. But the appointment is only 25 minutes. It's a safe neighborhood. And he said, Mom, don't worry. I got it. You know, I love babysitting. He was reading his book later. I could see he had pulled it out. Mom, Shelley's not answering the door. Police and ambulances just went by and fire trucks. And I was like, my stomach dropped. The chair wasn't exactly next to him. Please didn't ask many questions. I told them Sean didn't do it. He was killed that first night. I told them all. I need to see where's my youngest one. He was like an exhausted doll. He opened his eyes. He was all sweaty. It looked like he had been crying. Personally, I think that he woke up from the hustle and bustle, what was happening. I saw all kinds of stuff in the house that was out of place. I froze because I was like, that's a huge handprint on the door. That's not Sean's. Hand was not from the outside, but from the inside. And it was the left hand. I saw some splatters that seemed like small blood things that I asked them to collect. Sean definitely had blood on when I did the picture on his hand, but the officer, she washed it off. The belt was tied around my son. Oh, they said, oh, he probably tied it himself and all that. So why there was no DNA on the belt? 4 weeks later, taking fingerprints. 4 weeks later, after we raised hell. 4 weeks later, going around the neighbors, asking if they saw anything. I screamed in the hospital saying, my son was murdered. There's something really wrong. When I walked into our bedroom, I literally almost walked onto Sean's underwear. They were there. Sean never, ever in his life has taken his underwear off in my bedroom. There's no reason for it. And it was a cross from my husband's clothes, and my husband's drawers were opened up because Sean was dressed in my husband's clothes. So was the ambush in his room then, you know? And then he dragged him, or they fought all the way to our bedroom. So he was interrupted. Did they wrestle to get up the stairs? Did they fight their way up? You know, I don't know. I think that someone saw something, and I think not just one. I think a couple people saw something, but I know there was no real investigation. If you ask the parents to find the person who did it, and we are not investigators, there's a problem. They're asking me to find the person. We don't want to investigate, just say it. I have a text where it says, you know, it's time to move on and live my life. I know we have really good neighborhood, and I know people want to help. They just don't know that we are asking for help. They have told me a few times that they really don't know how to.
All right, that was the house they live in. It was Thursday, April 14th, 2022. It was a normal day at the Daugherty Rivers household. Sean Daugherty was the second oldest child in a blended household that consisted of his mother, Ramona, his stepfather, Jared, his older sister, Maria, who was 16 and in 10th grade, and two younger half-brothers who were 5 and 2. 79-year-old grandma also lived with them. They were a proud military family, lived on Sandalwood Lane in Yorktown. So it was Yorktown. Well, now you should have sound. Now sound works. Yeah, it's Yorktown. They were a tight-knit group who kept to themselves. They'd been there for a few years, and they were great neighbors, but hadn't made any forever friends on the block. COVID had made socializing difficult. Organization known for its pristine lawns. Truth be told, they felt so safe in this house that even the doors were seldom locked. They had just sold the house they were renting back a few months ago from the new owners while prepping to move to the Pentagon. They were all sad to end their time in the Tab District, but they were excited for the next chapter in D.C. They were set to move in a few weeks. On this particular morning, the entire week, in fact, spirits were high in the house. The week before was spring break, and they'd gone to a Disney cruise. Everyone had the best time, and they were all high on their experience. They had such an awesome time that on Tuesday evening, 4/12, Ramona took Sean to renew his passport at the Okaaay Library because they booked a second Disney trip in August to Alaska. Sean was stoked for this trip. Sean was a straight-A student. Things came naturally for him. He was also a gifted musician. He had several friends, and when interviewed after his death, they all recalled him to be happy. This day in particular, teachers and students interviewed remember Sean laughing in class, being excited, could not recall anything out of the norm. Ramona spoke to all them personally, and each echoed the same sentiment, that Sean was not a troubled child and he exuded happiness. Okay. So what went so wrong? All right. On April 14th, Sean got off the bus at 3:02, walked the distance of 2 houses to the front door. Vija, the grandmother, was home watching the youngest brother, but was in a rush. As soon as Sean entered... Hold on. As soon as Sean entered the house, she told him to watch the toddler who was asleep on the couch, and she exited. Ramona had just pulled up to the house to pick up Vaha up for a medical appointment and called out to Sean as he entered the house and said she would call him from the car. He was to watch his brother for an hour while she took Grandma to the doctor. Sean happily agreed. He loved watching the toddler. He said that he had homework to do and would complete his chores before gaming with his friends. He submitted his homework assignments online, one of which included him submitting a photo of himself holding up his work at 3:09. There was nothing out of place. From the car, Ramona called him a second time. She had just talked to the husband, who said that their 2-year-old had been napping for almost 2 hours and needed to be woken up or he'd never sleep that night. Ramona called Sean to revise the plan and asked him to wake his brother up, give him a snack, and maybe watch a movie with him downstairs. Sean laughed and said, "Mom, I'm pooping. I got it." And they had a chuckle. His bathroom was on the second floor. Ramona called a third and final time in the car at 3:27, and Sean answered right away. She said that she realized he'd been excited to play his games and suggested that Sean bring his brother with him up to the second floor so that he wouldn't have to change his plans. Sean loved the idea and said that he would get his brother all set up on an iPad upstairs with him. Perfect. She told him where the iPad was charging on the second floor and he could grab it and get everything set up. But first, before he woke his brother, he needed a snack. He took some jarred peaches out of the fridge, one of his favorite after-school snacks. He put one into a bowl. Sean's chore was to take the trash out, and we believe at 3:30 his alarm went off as he was prepared for a snack. He went upstairs quickly to complete his chore. He gathered the trash up the 2 upstairs bathrooms, came downstairs to gather the trash in the kitchen. This is where things get weird. The kitchen trash was never taken out. His Crocs were found next to the trash in the kitchen. No one in this house was ever barefoot, and in fact, Sean had a strange thing about being barefoot. He never walked around like that. He couldn't stand it. What happened as he was gathering the trash? Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Sean's 2-year-old brother recalls only that there was a friend chasing Sean around and punching him. He also said the man touched his arm. Was someone in the house? Who? How does that not scream something is wrong? You have a 2-year-old, the only other eyewitness available, and the eyewitness says, I don't care that he's 2, he said that he saw somebody chasing Sean around the house and punching him. Hello? Like, how does this not put off a red flag? Even if he's 2. A 2-year-old doesn't make this up. A 2-year-old is not going to just come up with this out of nowhere. So Ramona's last call before she entered the appointment was the last time she or anyone spoke to Sean. He never logged in to play Fortnite with his friends. He never took the iPad off the charger for his brother. His Crocs were found upside down next to the trash, and the trash was never taken out. On the counter sat the untouched jarred peach. 2-year-olds don't lie. I totally agree with that. Now, this is the swing set. Whoop. That's the swing set that they found him on. Okay? But wait till you hear the details. It is sick. All right. Maria's older sister had been at the tennis match after school. She was rushing home because her boyfriend, AJ, and his mom were picking her up to go to his lacrosse game. When she got home, the front door was locked. She rang the bell and knocked. No one answered. Where was Sean? He was supposed to be home. He called her mother. She called her mom, Ramona, who told her to call Sean and advised that he was probably gaming upstairs. Maria was frustrated. She was in a rush. She called Sean twice and texted 3 times at 4:50. There was no response. She decided to run around back and try to enter through the back door, and that's when she saw him. She froze at that moment, entering a state of shock as she tried to process what she was seeing. A person was hanging from their swing set unnaturally with a bag over their head. She looked around, trying to figure out if she could get into the house before the stranger got to her. But she realized the figure was not moving, nor was it facing her. Utterly confused, she scanned the yard to make sure she wasn't alone, and locked eyes with a landscaper mowing the neighbor's yard, who was also very puzzled and just standing there. Suddenly confident, since she wasn't alone, she came within a 15-foot radius and called out hello, but there was no response. Thoughts chaotically ran through her mind, and she was trying to process what she was seeing. The hands and legs looked so familiar. It was Sean. Hysterically, she ran up to her brother and confirmed it was him and looked closely at his hands, which were both bound to his waist by a belt and discolored from lack of circulation. Screaming, she lifted her brother with one arm in hopes of releasing the pressure from his head and called 911. This was at 4:54. with her other hand. She removed him from his hanging position by simply lifting the shoelace-type string over his head with 3 fingers, brought him down to the ground, and performed CPR for 6 minutes with the assistance of 911 until the EMTs took over. Sean was dressed in men's clothing. His arms were so tightly bound to his waist, and EMTs made note of how difficult it had been to remove it. This is a 12-year-old boy, okay? Remember this. They had to unbuckle and move it so they could administer shocks with the AED. He had a bag over his head with his glasses were broken and found in the vicinity. His eyesight was so poor that he couldn't see without his glasses. How could this clumsy 12-year-old suspend himself in such an awkward position with a bag on his head while his hands were belted so tightly to his waist without being able to see? He was suspended by his chin, not by his neck. At any point, he could have stood up and saved himself, but he did not. His feet were dragging on the ground, and his bent knees were mere inches from the ground as well. In fact, normal hanging inquiries weren't present. It looked like he had been killed elsewhere and propped ornamentally outside, displayed in men's clothing and suspended like a doll. His knees were so close to the ground that you could see the bottom of his feet, and they were clean. How could he have perfectly clean feet if he had walked barefoot from the house to the swing set through their swampy spring yard? It was April and the whole yard was mud and dust. Ramona arrived home by the appointment to find her house swarming with emergency medical personnel and jumped out of the SUV. Ran toward the commotion. She saw them working on Sean, and in that instant, the life she had lived ceased to exist. As Sean's body jumped through the air with each shock from the AED, she knew they were too late. Though through heroic efforts from Maria, they were able to get a heartbeat, but there wasn't enough electricity to sustain it. They would find out later that Sean had actually been gone for some time, and there was no chance he could have been revived. A belt that completely immobilized his arms and hands, a bag over his head, broken glasses suspended by the chin, clean feet dragging with knees almost touching the ground, a string so thin and loose it didn't even need to be cut, men's clothing, and Sean was gone. Mama R, what's the video? But the police ruled this a suicide. As Ramona was driving home from the appointment, Maria called to say that Sean wasn't opening the door. She told Maria to call him. He was probably gaming upstairs with his brother. Oddly enough, all the traffic lights were green on the way home except the last one. As she sat by the light, a fire engine and an emergency pickup truck came blazing past, and she suddenly felt ill. She muffled under her breath, "Please don't turn right," and they did. She sped up and watched them take the next right into the neighborhood. She thought, "Please, God, don't let them be at my house." The sirens stopped, and she couldn't see the vehicles anymore. She turned left onto her lane and saw them all in front of her house. Ramona threw her SUV into park, told Vija she was going in, and ran toward the backyard. They had an entrance on each side of the home, but the one on the right was never used. In fact, from the road, you couldn't tell it was a gate because a bush was so close to it. Everyone was gathered near the gate and on the right side of the house, but the gate was on the left, was wide open. Why? Mona ran through the open gate on the left and saw everyone gathered under the swing set. She tried to focus and figure out what was happening. Suddenly, she saw the long body with naked legs laying on the ground next to the EMT. An officer rushed towards her and told her to move away and let the medics do their job. Her knees hit the ground from the depths of a place she knew never existed. She screamed no. As Sean's body continued up and down, a million thoughts went through her mind. What was Sean doing outside? Did he fall? Was there an accident? Ramona turned around to see Maria running towards her. They both ran into the house, and the officer ran right behind them. As Ramona turned the doorknob, it open immediately. The door was unlocked. She ran forward and saw the Crocs upside down next to the 2 closed garage bags on the floor that were ready to be taken out. She scanned the living room for a toddler and noticed 2 little legs hiding beneath a pile of laundry on their chair. She yelled his name, scooped him up, and he opened his eyes and started to cry. He was really limp and just out of it. He didn't seem like his normal self. Okay, if nobody was in the house, then why would this child be hiding under a laundry basket? First of all, hello? That doesn't make any sense at all. At all. Ramona ran to the front door. It was locked, and it was locked as Marie had stated. They opened the door and ran outside the front yard. Did she notice a neighbor standing nearby with a landscaper? She ran up and yelled out, "What about? Did you see what happened?" The neighbor said no. She turned towards the landscaper and mumbled, "I don't know him. Who did it?" She ran over to the other neighbor on the other side who was also mowing the grass, and he too said he didn't see anything. How could all of her neighbors be outside doing yard work and not see anything? The fence is only 3 feet tall. No matter who she asked, nobody saw anything and nobody knew anything. One neighbor even had several cameras fixed to his house that pointed into her yard, but they were disconnected and hadn't been recording in years. Ramona's husband was in Williamsburg with their middle son at ABA Services and at least 35 to 40 minutes away. She needed help immediately. She called her boss, who told him that she thought Sean was dead, and he said he'd be right over. She called her husband, Jared, and could only say that Sean was hurt really bad and that they were trying to revive him. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He ran to the building, grabbed their son, and jumped in the car. Ramona watched as the ambulance with Sean pulled away, as they wouldn't let her ride with him. She hopped in the first responders' fire truck, began on the road. I'm just going to skip over. It's same old, same old. Still in uniform, Ramona walked into the emergency room. They were expecting her. She was guided through a secure door down to where Sean was being worked on. There were nurses and doctors 3 rows deep in the hall, all watching and praying. A woman in scrubs fell to her knees in prayer with tears pouring on her face. Crowd parted all at once and turned toward her to make way for the physician to come out. Stepped back, shook her head, and screamed no as they told her Sean was gone. They were both military. We are disappointed in the response from the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office to our pleas for help. They released a video that is cold, uncaring, and defensive. They attempt to discredit our account of events by stating that our story is untrue. Their video and the ME report featured contradict many things they've said. We are asking for them to allow an outside entity to investigate this case since they have no interest in bringing it further.
There's got to be more answers out there.
Sitting in a park not far from what used to be their Yorktown home, Ramona and Jared Rivas remember their 12-year-old son, Sean Daugherty. Sean was in the 6th grade, loved his family, swimming, playing video games.
He loved to read, and he could read. He could read a lot faster than I can, which I found amazing. So he was just an amazing person, and he was great in school, and the teachers loved him.
On April 14th, Sean was found in his backyard, hanging from a swing set. According to the autopsy report, he was suspended from a shoelace-type string, with a bag over his head and his arms secured by his sides with a belt. He was found wearing his stepfather's clothes, shoeless, with no glasses on. His stepfather and mother say how he was found is just the first of many questions.
He was watching his 2-year-old brother. He loved him so much he would never leave him. He was reading his book. They were just checked out from...
Thank you, Kara. I don't believe a 2-year-old would make up a complete story about somebody chasing him. I totally agree. Especially since he said it was the friend. Like, come on. And guys, all super chats are absolutely appreciated. Thank you so much, Kara.
Library that day. He
Did
had
his
take-
homework for the
He did
next
his
day?
homework and submitted for the next day. He took out a snack that he never ate. He started to take out garbage that he never finished.
We counted about 17 things like that that were odd for Sean. So all those things had to be done by Sean on that one day in a 50-minute time frame for him to kill himself.
Those questions haunting the Rivas family.
We lost our son, and we have these hundreds and hundreds of unanswered questions that, should have already been answered by now.
In one of the documents News 3 obtained, the ER doctor wrote, quote, history of suicidal ideations. However, in the autopsy report, the medical examiner wrote, quote, no known history of depression or suicidality. Another section reads, no note was found, but does say police are investigating the possibility of bullying at school. The Rivas family says there was one instance in December of 2021. They say still, Sean was not struggling mentally. That same report came to this conclusion, the cause and manner of death, hanging by suicide.
We want to be the voice of Sean, right? That's more important than us being listened to, is Sean being listened to. Because if he was sitting here, he would tell you the same thing. I didn't do this. I loved life.
The Rivas family has created a social media campaign that's quickly growing in the community. These yard signs reading, what happened to Sean, are popping up all over the peninsula.
We believe someone saw something. There was a crew next door mowing grass in the backyard when this happened, during the same time it happened.
Sean's parents say all they want are answers and for another agency to re-examine the case.
We want to make sure that whoever did this to Sean is not going to do this to someone else.
In York County, Ellen Ice, News 3.
Within the hour, the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office posted a video on its Facebook page addressing the family's concerns, and here's part of their response.
Our investigators are recognized in the Hampton Roads area as professional, caring, competent major crimes investigators. They have investigated and solved numerous cases that include homicides, suicides, rapes, and robberies. We conducted a thorough, professional, and exhaustive investigation. There is nothing whatsoever to indicate that there is a killer in our community. As I stated,
you can watch the full video from the Sheriff's Office. It's in Ellen's story, and we also have a response from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, who is responsible for determining the cause and manner of Sean's death. And that's up right now on WTKR.com.
What happened to Sean?
There's got to be more answers out there.
Sean Daugherty's death was ruled a suicide in April. The family doesn't agree. They have questions to include. How was Sean able to hang himself with his arms secured to his sides? Why were his feet not dirty if he was shoeless? Why did he take out a snack to eat and leave it on the counter? The York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office said they did a thorough investigation and said a killer is not on the loose. For the full story, head to our website, WTKR.com.
Okay, so I'm not an officer, I'm not a cop, but let's look at this, okay? Let's just think about this for a second. You have a child who seemingly was able to tie his own hands to his and feet to his waist, then hang himself. How is that even fucking possible? How do you hang yourself after you tie your hands to your waist? Think about it. That's not even possible. It's not even remotely possible. And how do you do all this while you're not wearing your glasses, while your glasses are found broken elsewhere, and the best part, your feet are clean? Have you ever walked outside? You can't walk outside without your feet getting dirty. And even if you walk on perfectly clean area, you can work on a perfectly clean sidewalk, you will still get dirt on your feet. So walking through the grass, he had no dirt on his feet. Feet were totally clean. Make that make sense for me. You can't make sense of that. But you hang yourself while your hands are bound to your waist so tightly that even the EMTs had a hard time undoing it. This is a 12-year-old sixth grader. That is impossible. I'm sorry, but that is impossible to do. You can't do it. He was absolutely carried. And why didn't the landscaper see anything? If the landscaper was outside and the height and the swing set was in the backyard, how did the landscaper not see anything? And if he hung himself, then legs flared around. It's absolutely ridiculous. You cannot bound yourself to your belt and then hang yourself, no less. It is a fucked up case. And I'm surprised this hasn't gotten more coverage. According to authorities, Sean was found in the backyard. Autopsy, Sean was suspended from a shoelace type string with a bag over his head. That's another thing. If you're going to hang yourself, you don't need to put a bag over your head. So he was suspended with a shoelace type string with a bag over his head and his arms secured by his sides with a belt. Hello? He was found wearing his stepfather's clothes, shoeless, and no glasses on. It just doesn't add up. Miss Scarrett, today was the first day I heard of this case, too. The ER doctor wrote Sean had a history of suicidal ideations. In the autopsy report, medical examiner said total not. All right, so this just goes through what they said. All right. So the medical examiner said the OCME determines cause and manner of death based on the circumstances of death and information presented to her office from numerous organizations. When a family disagrees with the cause of death, our office gives the family an opportunity to present any new information that they feel is pertinent to our death investigation. Medical examiner will evaluate the new information, determine if the cause of death or manner of death should be amended. In cases where the family suspects that someone killed their loved one, we ask families to contact the investigating law enforcement agency immediately to express their concerns. We advise that law enforcement should be involved as they need to conduct the necessary follow-up on the new information. If law enforcement determines the information to be pertinent to our death investigation, then they will present it to our office, see if anything needs to be amended. There are times when our office will meet with families and law enforcement together so that medical examiner can thoroughly explain their medical findings and law enforcement can explain their investigation. This also allows families to present their concerns to both organizations that conduct the death investigation for the loved one. Oh, Grizzly's been covering it? All right. But I'm saying I'm surprised more than that have been covering it. I mean, this is pretty bad. This is sad. All right. Then here's the change.org, which again is posted. All right, so the official word from the police is, over the course of several weeks, we filmed the property and its surroundings, see if anyone would revisit the scene of the crime. There's an individual who was filmed numerous times throughout several nights. They show a red mark on the wall from May 20th. This was a new red mark. When you wait 5 weeks to collect evidence, there will be new marks. This was one of many spots throughout the house that they pointed out in the investigators. No one knows if the 2-year-old was sleeping during the hour he was alone. No one else was there. Initially, it was assumed that he was, and the mother was grateful that he was unharmed and said so. Later in the evening, when she was reunited with her son, he said there had been a man in the house. This was disclosed. Now remember, he didn't say a kid, he said a man. We refer to the string as a shoelace type string because that is what the autopsy described it as. It is similar in size. It was from a motorcycle bag, and that bag was on his head. The string, of course, had his DNA on it as it was on his body. We did provide leads to the police in the hope that they would look into people who were in the area at that time. We didn't realize we'd be mocked for doing so. Shouldn't there be ones looking for leads? This is what they chose to focus on, instead of answering a few major questions that had been lingering for some time. Sean's arms were belted tightly to his body. How did he put a bag over his head and a string over that while having belted hands? Sean's glasses were broken. He could not see. Where is the missing lens? Sean did not leave a note. Child does his homework, then unalives himself. Yep. He did not leave a note. He did not search how to commit suicide. He did not communicate with any strangers online. Sean submitted all of his upcoming assignments online as soon as he got home from school. He also prepared himself a snack, which was left uneaten on the counter. Sean was babysitting his little brother. There are dozens of things that do not add up. We are asking for another entity to take the case over and investigate with a fresh set of eyes. Isn't everyone entitled to a second opinion? Under the blanket, Ramona said she wanted to see him, and they made her way to enter the room. He was lying on the gurney, and she knelt beside him on his left side and just grabbed his feet and kissed him. They were so clean and perfect. She knew this would be the last time she would see him. The sorrow and grief was indescribable, but Ramon's analytical mind was working overtime. What happened? She needed to look. She was alone in the room with some sort of female champagne, and everything was covered up to his neck in a blanket. She went over to his face and took a look. He was angelic, peaceful, and his face was unharmed. There was no swelling anywhere. His teeth were all intact, and he had clearly been intubated as the tube was still in. He had a neck collar on, and his eyes were half open, clear, green, and not swollen. There was no redness or damage that she could see. She opened his eyelids and saw that his pupils were blown, and in that moment she realized that his soul had left his body. The pain was unbearable. She kissed his forehead, pushed his hair up, and just wanted to smell him one last time. He smelled musty. His right hand suddenly popped out from underneath the blanket, and she leaned over and put it back. She went back to the left and grabbed that hand and held it one last time. She put his left hand into her own and noticed blood in between the fourth and fifth finger. She thought to herself, good, there's evidence. Something told her to get her phone out and take some pictures. Later, she would notice that these pictures clearly show the marks on his wrist from being bound by the belt. Even though the ME reports that by this time she received the body, there were no marks. Ramona stood up and lifted his arm and took a picture, and she suddenly froze. She stared at it, and the picture for a second longer, and then let out a scream. Something is wrong. My son is wearing my husband's dress shirt. Oh my God, did someone put him in these clothes? Is someone in the house? The female Champlain ran out to get help. The investigator was in the hall speaking to the physician. Ramona called Jamie's cell and told her that Sean was dressed in Jared's clothing and that someone could still be in the house. Now Ramona's brain was racing. What was happening? Why was Sean wearing his dad's clothing? Suddenly she saw a replay of Sean's body being hit by the AED and the black underwear, and her stomach felt queasy. That wasn't Sean's underwear. That was Jared's. The investigator came into the room to ask what was going on. Once she explained, the investigator asked Ramona to leave the room since it was now considered a crime scene. Ramona didn't realize that from that point on, she would never be able to hold or touch him again. The entire family was robbed of saying their goodbyes, and the doors closed. All Ramona saw were flashes from the investigator's camera. She stood there with tears coming from down her face. Sean was taken away from her. Ramona was directly into an empty room, and soon after that, the door opened and Jared entered. They both began to sob uncontrollably and pray to God to take care of Sean. Ramona took Jared back to the room just to be close to their son. No entrance back into the room was allowed. While waiting outside, a kind nurse came up to her and gave her a small test tube that contained an EKG strip, a sample of his last heartbeats on this earth. And they both cried. Ramona begged for one last look at Sean, but the investigator said no, they were moving him. As the tears poured from her face and soaked her uniform, she begged and pleaded. He agreed to let one last look. A stretcher was wheeled out, and they lifted the blanket for a few seconds so that she could see his face. His blonde hair popped out, and she started to cry, and then they wheeled him away. This was an article. This is just about the officers. Investigators went through, took pictures of the house, took pictures of the back swing set, began to look around and document their surroundings. Family has not been given access to these pictures. Neighbor Michelle had stopped by with some pizzas and the kids ate on the front steps. Female officer asked Jamie's name and number in case they needed an update for the kids. Jamie gave the officer a cell phone number. While loading up the car to transport the kids to another location, female neighbor walked over and insisted on talking to Maria. She was really skittish, and Jamie kept telling her to leave. She seemed to be well-intentioned, but something was really off. She kept walking away and walking back, just trying to talk to Maria. She kept telling Maria everything was fine. She would be fine. Jamie asked her to stop approaching Maria, and she and Ramona's boss took Via to the kids and to a hotel in Langley. They all sat and waited for Ramona and Jared to return, knowing that Sean was gone. Uh... 20-minute hotel. Shock and confusion was setting in. Now, I don't totally understand this picture. Long hugs and kisses were exchanged, and it was clear that no one knew what to say. Jared's phone rang, and he walked away to take the call. Ramona scooped up her youngest son, who had been bouncing around on the hotel beds, and asked him what he did with Sean today. He said a friend came over and was punching Sean and then proceeded to demonstrate punching motions with his fists. Jared finished his phone call and announced that the investigators had cleared the house and that they could go back in it. It was practically midnight. How could they be done so soon? Did they even want to return to the house without him? A family decision was made to return to the house, and they packed up and drove home. They pulled up. Nothing seemed out of place. The neighborhood was eerily quiet, and from the outside of their house looked untouched. It was hard to believe that anything had even happened. Was this real life, or was it a bad dream? They grabbed the kids and walked inside. A few things immediately felt out of place, but they couldn't quite pin it down. Everyone gathered in the living room as they all tried to think about next steps. Ramona went slowly into the kitchen and noticed the peach and the bowl on the counter. She then noticed the 2 trash bags tied up on the floor and Sean's Crocs upside down on the floor in front of the bags. She opened the trash drawer and saw that it was lined with new bags. Sean had gathered the trash and put the new bags in and left the old bags tied on the floor. She pointed this out to Jared. She also noticed 2 additional garbage bags on the floor, all ripped up. She picked one to take a look at it. Strange, she thought. These aren't ours. The bag she picked up had blush handles, and she only bought bags with red handles. These bags had also large rips in the middle on the side. Whose bags are they? Why are they ripped? I still don't understand how they ruled this a suicide. This is next to impossible to be a suicide. Like, everyone knows their own bags. You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows who their own bags belong to, like what garbage bags. And why were they ripped? This all felt wrong, and they were all uncomfortable. More things felt out of place, but everyone wanted to go to sleep. Ramona and Jared walked upstairs to look around. The house felt really hot upstairs. The heat was set to 85. Who touched the thermostat? Ramona proceeded towards the bedroom and grasped when she entered. In the middle of the path from the bedroom door to the attached master bedroom was Sean's underwear on the floor. Jared ran downstairs and grabbed gloves and a large Ziploc bag. Ramona picked up the underwear and bagged them for the investigators. This was really puzzling. Why would Sean's underwear be on the floor in their room? Jared's dresser drawers were also open. What happened in this room? Jared called the police immediately and asked them to send a patrol car because they didn't feel safe. What if the person who hurt Sean came back? Jared locked all the doors and barricaded chairs against them. They could not believe that they never invested in a security system. How naive of them to feel so untouchable, so safe. All the kids, including Sean's older sister Maria, went to lay in their parents' room that night. They all tried to rest, but no one could settle. The room was filled with tears and quiet sobs. Ramona stood up and went into Sean's room. Her eyes drifted to the top bunk, and she saw his disheveled, unmade bed that he had jumped out of in the morning before. She saw his AirPods charging and wondering where the investigators had found his iPhone. She was told it had been found in his room, but where? Why wasn't it on him? She grabbed one of the hoodies and held it close to her chest, hoping it would provide some comfort. It did not. She sobbed and heaved for hours, afraid she might never sleep again. What happened to Sean? That's a handprint they found. Landscaper crew guys, one of them did it. See, I don't know. If you remember in the video, there was a guy walking past. He didn't look like a landscaper. And I think the 2-year-old would be able to identify something. I don't know. It's just sad as hell. They woke the next morning hoping it was all a nightmare, but Sean was gone. Jared called the investigators. Asked them to come over to discuss what they had found the night before. Before the investigators arrived, Jamie AJ's mother arrived with some food. On her way, she had called the high school guidance counselor to let her know that Sean had passed away the night before and that Marie and AJ would not be in school that day. She also said that Marie and AJ would need several days off and quite possibly some extra help when they returned. The guidance counselor was really upset and said they would take care of everything. Jamie came in and started cleaning up the kitchen for Ramona. While sweeping around the kitchen table, she noticed a very large handprint on the window of the back door. She stopped, stared at it for a moment. She thought, that's really large and in a weird spot. Why would an adult place their hand on the window pane so high? For what? She put her hand up next to the print and saw that it was much larger than her own hand. She called Ramona over to take a look. Ramona agreed that it was an adult print and it didn't belong to anyone in the house. It wasn't just a print, though. It seemed there was something on the hand, a residue or film of some sort that made the print stand out. Ramona said she would show the investigators when they arrived. At that point, Ramona showed Jamie the garbage bags and the plush handles, and they both went through all the boxes of trash bags in the house. They all had red handles. Ramona exclusively shopped for garbage bags at Costco and bought hundreds at a time. Where did these bags come from? The investigative team arrived at the house. Some went upstairs and then some to the backyard to look around. 2 sat at the dining room table and interviewed both Maria and Ramona, one after the other. There was 1 female investigator, 1 male investigator. Okay. Lost my train of thought. Where was I? All right. They asked if Sean had any enemies, if he had been bullied, and asked if he had a bad day at school. They showed Ramona a video of Sean walking the hall with a buddy at the middle school, and nothing seemed out of the norm. He was bouncing around and joking with his friend. This video helped them identify the jacket, flannel, and shorts he was wearing that day. The selfie he took when he submitted his homework identified the shirt he was wearing, but they weren't given the picture from the school until around 3 weeks later. The jacket and flannel were found hanging together in the house, but they could not locate the shirt and shorts. They stayed for about an hour, questioning both Ramona and Maria about Sean and his state of mind on his last day. Maria and Ramona dutifully welcome Fly. Oh, hey, Fly Eagles. Member for 2 months. Woo woo. And his state of mind on his last day, Maria and Ramona answered every question they could, hoping that any information they provided would help them figure out what happened to Sean. They had taken Sean's iPhone, laptop, and iPad the night before. They asked if the family knew the passcode to get into the iPhone. They did not. They tried a few things, but couldn't figure it out. The investigator said they would take care of it. Ramona asked if they were going to talk to Sean's friends. They said they would. She gave them contact information for his close buddies. Jamie was washing dishes at the sink and eavesdropping. She couldn't help but think that they were not taking the family's concerns seriously, as each response from the investigators seemed to poo-poo the family and circle back suicide. She was confused as to why they weren't acknowledging the family's concerns. Ramona asked them to take the underwear she found and had bagged the night before. They reluctantly took them, but did not provide a receipt. She also pointed out the handprint on the back door and asked them to lift the print, see if they could find a match. There hadn't been any fingerprints taken the night before, and she didn't understand why they didn't take any prints or how they could have missed it. They lifted the fingerprints, said they would send them out for testing. 2 investigators that had been at the table joined their colleagues outside. They congregated underneath the swing set for a little while, for a few minutes, and had a discussion. They walked back to the house, gave their condolences, and headed out. The family was left without any direction, guidance, or any answers whatsoever. Was there even an investigation? Why were they leaving? Ramona and Jamie went into the backyard and looked around. They both found themselves looking up all of the houses with second floors that could peer directly into the backyard and see everything. They counted 6. 6 houses with a direct line of sight into the yard at all times from the second floor. Who was watching? Ramona called the FBI. A few weeks later, the lead investigator would tell them they did a good print from the lift of the hand, but there weren't any matches in the system. A month later, when they came back for more prints, he said there weren't any good prints lifted and therefore nothing viable to test. The family does not know if the initial handprint was ever sent out for testing, and they haven't been given any documentation to support that it was. Sean's underwear was also never sent out for testing, and they don't know what happened to those either. This is mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Are you guys tired of hearing me read? I mean, I'm sure other people covered it, but I don't know if everyone's covered every single detail we know to date. Might as well just get it all done in one shot. But this is fucking nuts. Like, absolutely nuts. It was the afternoon on the day after Sean died. Nothing seemed to make sense, and they couldn't figure out if any of this was even real. Before the investigation had left that day, they had advised Ramona and Jared against disclosing details of the incident to anyone. Why? Rumors were flying as neighbors whispered about what happened on Sandalwood Lane. Why wasn't this on the news? Concerned community members called the sheriff's office and were told that there was nothing to be afraid of. Sheriff's office sent investigators to the high school to assure the staff that there was no threat to the community. An enormous amount of time and energy was directed toward controlling the narrative on the day after death rather than toward an investigation. I saw you, Lex. The investigators had called Jared a few times that day to talk about the items that Sean was dressed in and also about the bag that was found on his head. They explained that it was a silver gray bag with black shoe on it. Immediately, Jared thought of the old motorcycle helmet bags he had in the garage in a pile for Goodwill, and he and Ramona went out to the garage to see if they were missing. There was one missing and one still there, but missing the string. Someone had taken the string out of 2 bags to suspend Sean, but left the second bag in the garage. This made them really uneasy. Jared and Ramona are both in the military, and every military family knows how much equipment each member accrues over the years. Sean knew there were boxes and duffels of rope, cords, and military-grade 550 paracord all over the garage. If he needed an actual rope, he knew where to find one, as the family used them often for various projects. It seemed like someone literally opened the door to the garage in a rush and grabbed the first thing they could find. They also noticed that a bunch of their boots in the garage had been partially unlaced. Had someone tried to take the laces and realized that wouldn't work? Did they try to put boots on him? Sean also had his own drawstring gym bags in his room. Why would he not use one of those? Why would he not grab a necktie while allegedly dressing himself in his stepfather's clothes? The choice of materials baffled them. The investigators asked Jared about the clothes found on Sean. Ramona had taken pictures of Sean that night in the hospital, but only of the dress shirt he was wearing. They didn't have any pictures of the denim pants, as they were not on his body when he was brought to the ER. The investigators described the pants of the family, and they sounded like a pair of Jared's jeans, but they were never shown a picture of either of the pants or the belt. They have never identified them, and they have not been given access to that discovery. Why weren't the investigators canvassing the neighborhood? Why weren't people being asked for their security footage? Shouldn't we be pulling every camera on the lane to see if there were cars or walkers in that area at that time? Why wasn't anyone doing anything? As the afternoon rolled by, Jamie left to go gather her own children from school. As she stepped outside to leave, she received a call on her cell from the investigator who questioned Maria the night before. He asked her if she had remembered him, and she said yes. He told her that this was an open investigation and that she was not to speak to anyone about the case. He told her that meant no calls, no gossip, no social media. She started to feel sick. He told her that he had been flooded with phone calls that were impeding his ability to do his job. She hadn't spoken to anyone other than the school guidance counselor that morning. She had spent the night that Sean died laying awake in bed, wondering how she could have let her kids walk or ride in the neighborhood again, praying that a security system covered every inch of the house. Were they really not going to tell the neighbors what happened? Why is this all a secret? Why? Isn't it fucking insane, Green-Eyed? I'm still blown away. Like, even reading this a second time, I'm blown away. Lex, where would I find that? I literally just found this case tonight, so I haven't seen that. I know I did see that, what's her name covered it. Thank you, Kara. Has anyone seriously questioned the stepfather as to anything anyone would be mad at towards him? I don't think they have. Because I agree with you. Why did they dress him up in, why did they dress him up in those clothes? What was the point of dressing him up in the stepfather's clothes? This happened in Yorktown, Virginia. Friday, April 15th. I'm not reading anymore until you guys hit some thumb ups. So you better hit some thumb ups. Neighbors have witnessed the chaos on Sandalwood, and the community was craving information. Some teachers at the high school had caught wind of what happened, and the school notified the sheriff's office. Sheriff's office sent a representative to the high school to assure the teachers and the staff there was no threat to the community. Damage control was in full effect less than 48 hours after Sean's death. So here is my biggest issue, okay? This is really one of my biggest issues. Was it a cop that did it? Why would they be covering this up so badly? Why would the cops cover this up like this? It makes no sense unless it was a cop that actually did it. I can't figure out why would a cop, why would the cops not investigate it? I don't get it. I do not know her, but hoping she sees and can join as she's trying hard to raise awareness. Yeah, I'll reach out to her. I'll definitely reach out to her. A cop's kid, maybe? I don't know. I was in an accident. Yorktown police left me for dead. Never checked me, luckily. Ambulance. Wow. Don't want locals to think there's a killer. Yeah, but there is a killer on the loose. They chose those strings to make it look like a kid chose it. I don't know. Ramona and Jared had several calls with the medical examiner regarding her findings. When a forensic pathologist is assigned to a case, she utilizes the body, any evidence she is presented from the investigators, and theorizes how the descendant passed on a combination of fact and opinion. In fact, the lead investigator was listed on the autopsy as present during the exam, as well as the person who brought evidence for the ME for measurements. The ME was given the string that had been found on Sean's neck, the articles of clothing on his body, and the belt that had been tied his arms down. She sent off samples for testing and also completed a perk test. Once the ME was done with the body, it was released and driven down Southern Pines, North Carolina for the funeral. Family packed up their SUV and drove to North Carolina, unable to divert their eyes from the one empty seat in the back, Sean's. I don't know what this video is from. And I don't know where to find it. Because it doesn't say. So one day ago, whoever owns this page wrote, "To everyone here, thank you for joining us on this journey. Sean's story is far from over, and we are just getting started. Your support means the world to us, and your shares have told a story all over the world. Keep telling it. We will not stop until we find out what happened to Sean. Many more posts to come. Team Sean." Now, if this is his mom, I already wrote him. If this is the investigator, if this is the... Yeah, this says it's private investigator. I've already written them, but I haven't written the mom. They said he was hung with his chin above the bar. Somebody had to put him there. I agree. The 2-year-old said, "Man, exactly." And then this goes back to August. April 14th, Sean Daugherty passed away unexpectedly in his home in Yorktown, Virginia, under suspicious circumstances. He was a 6th grader at Tab Middle School and was only 12 years old. Never in our wildest dreams, specifically in 2022, did we think that investigation could be so biased and assumption-based. We have been dismissed repeatedly. They will tell you we are crazy, unable to let go. They will tell you it was suicide and it's a cut and dry case. They will say suicide never makes sense. All we ask is that you pull up a chair, hear us out, and come to your own conclusion. We think you'll agree that there are way too many things that don't add up. Help us find out what really happened to Sean. If you have information that would aid the investigation, please call whathappenedtoshawn@gmail.com or call our tip line at 804-905-8613. So, cause of death is suicide by hanging. Is this in crazy or what? There is a PI on the case, yes. Thank you, Busted Can. I didn't know you were in Canada. Stepfather was hung in effigy, only instead of a doll or a dummy, they used 12-year-old Sean. The parents were involved in military service, a warning. The stepfather was hung in effigy? Okay. But why would he chase him punching him, though? You know what I mean? Like, why would he chase him around the house punching him? And why not hurt the other child? You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't he hurt the other child? The evil neighborhood drug dealer? I don't know. Is he domineering over his wife? Because in that interview, she kind of... No, I don't think so. Because the 2-year-old, all right, so this is what I think. The reason why he called him a friend is because a 2-year-old, the man probably said, I'm his friend. We're just friends. We're just playing. That's why he probably said friend. I don't believe the parents are involved at all. At all. Trying to knock him out by punching him, that's true too. Why no bruising? Out of guilt or remorse, most suspects will cover body face. That is true. Maybe they were talking nicely at first, but I just think he may have said, I'm his friend. I don't know. But again, I have a feeling he put him in the dad's clothes after he was dead. I don't think he did it prior. I think he did it after. But if he's going to kill himself, why is he going to go ahead and wear his dad's clothes? Why is he going to put on his dad's clothes to go kill himself? It just doesn't make sense. People are already going, no way. The parents are not. I don't believe the parents are guilty at all. I know what effigy meant. But I'm just saying, I don't know if I don't know. I get what you're saying, but I don't know. If the parents were involved, they would not be bringing attention to his case. Yeah, I definitely don't think it's the parents. Stranger attack tries to change. Oh, yeah, but he left the clothes there. That's what I'm saying. He left the clothes there. So if you want to take your child, I mean, if you want to cover up your, if you want to cover up your crime, you're going to take the clothes. A 6th grader is smart enough to pull in. I agree. I totally agree with that. He dressed him in the stepfather's clothes because they have something against stepfather and used Sean's death to get... See, that's exactly what B. Botanical is saying. She thinks the same way. We don't know who dressed him in the clothes. They said he was pronounced at the hospital. Didn't they say he's still... No, they said they got a heartbeat. When they pushed hard enough, they got a heartbeat, but they weren't able to save him. First dress a closet of clothes. Yeah, he left the boy's clothes. It's so weird. Top secret documents with names of secret agents get... Yeah, but... I don't know. I just don't know. Why wasn't Sean's body or clothing or panties tested for DNA? That's what they're trying to figure out. If he did commit suicide, there's no way he committed suicide. How are you going to commit suicide? The only way that he can commit suicide, okay, is if he... all right, just... I hate to do this, but let's give a visual. All right, let's give a visual of this. You tied your hands. A 12-year-old boy, granted, he could have known how to do knots. Both his parents were military. So let's give him the fact that he knew how to tie something tight, okay? Or he knew how to tie something right. So let's just go with that for a minute. Yeah, his parents were both heavy military. That I don't know, Allie. His hands were bound to his waist so tight that even the EMTs had a hard time releasing it. Okay. He walked to the backyard. He must have tied this string ahead of time. He walked to the backyard without getting his feet dirty. He's all bounded, all right? He's bound up. But he walks to the backyard without getting any dirt on his feet, in the grass with no shoes on, and stands up and puts his head into the neck, into a noose that he tied with a shoestring while his hands were bound tight, and hangs himself by his chin. Please make that make sense. It's impossible. There's no way you can do that. Oh, I forgot about that. Thank you, Herbie. With a plastic bag tied on his head. You're correct. So he did all this with a plastic bag and his... All right, well, let's not forget. I keep forgetting details. Let's not forget that his glasses were found further away. So not only could he not see, but one of the lens was missing. So the lens was somewhere else. He did all this. He put a bag on his head and then hung himself. Yeah, I'm not buying that. Why would you need to hang yourself if you put a bag on your head? If you really wanted to kill yourself, put a bag on your head and tie a knot. But according to the police, the knot must have been hanging originally because he must have set it up prior. And he walked over, put a bag on his head while his hands were tied so tightly that EMTs had a hard time removing them or loosening them. Puts a bag over his head. There's no fucking way in holy matrimony. And yes, I said matrimony. But there's no way in holy bejesus that this could happen. It just can't. Thank you, Carol. So these random people all doing yard work never sell anything. And never saw anything, but gave a weird look. I totally agree. And Kara, thank you so much tonight. And guys, Kara can't be the only one super chatting here. Make a snack, and before you eat it, decide to commit suicide. Exactly. The older one was at school. Now, mind you, let me also say that a lot of 12-year-olds babysit. So I don't want anyone saying, oh my God, she left him alone. It's the middle of the day. They're in an extremely safe neighborhood. There's no reason why a 12-year-old can't watch his little brother for an hour. For an hour. So don't try to blame them. That's pretty normal. Do you think maybe his stepdad is in deep in drug world and in something that he was put in his clothes to get dad's attention? That's what a lot of people keep saying, Amanda. It seems like a message to mom and dad. See, a lot of people keep thinking maybe it's a message. Couldn't have been a potential suspect knocking on door, pretending to be a cable guy, mom, dad's friend, lawn maids. Absolutely. Yeah, his older sister found him. Or complete your homework, then decide you unalive yourself. Yep. And get a snack ready and answer the phone 3 times. No. He would have scratched up his neck if he was able to. It's just none of it makes sense. It was last minute for him to be alone. It was planned. It wasn't planned. Why, Jen, you think he really committed suicide? There's no way. Oh, I see what you're saying, Jen. I take that back. I see what you mean. Okay, they never said. How would he? That's another thing. How would he walk in men's pants? And why weren't the parents given the pants? Well, okay. In all actuality, let me just think about something. Let's assume that it was a suicide, okay? Let's go with the fact it was a suicide. Let's just say it was a suicide. His feet could have been clean because he was walking in the pants, and the pants were so long that that's what they saw. You know, that's why his feet were clean, because he was actually walking in the pants. But the parents were never, and nobody was ever given access to see those pants. Because if that was the case, there would be dirt all over the pants. And I don't think there was dirt all over the pants. Why was the 2-year-old taking a nap? Lots of 2-year-olds take naps. They dressed him up to look like a scarecrow. That's possible too. Somebody knew he was alone. They had to, or they wouldn't even tried this. I agree with that too. No, that's what I'm thinking, Amanda, that's why they won't show the pants. And when he was found, it's a very small window of time to take his life and do all that. And where would the 2-year-old get this punching from if it wasn't true? Think about that. How would the 2-year-old know that someone was punching him? No. And again, lastly, Sean didn't kill himself in the house. Why was the 2-year-old hiding behind laundry if nobody was in the house? If Sean did this all by himself, why would the 2-year-old be hiding? You know, that's where a kid can really come in handy with knowing it's a suicide. If it really was a suicide and Sean just left the house, the 2-year-old wouldn't be hiding. There's a reason the 2-year-old was hiding in laundry and didn't even come out when he heard the mother. And they knew that the 2-year-old was visibly shaken up. That speaks volumes. There's something to that. So, yeah. I don't know why the investigators, but that's what I'm saying. Like, he was scared. If he wasn't scared, he wouldn't have been hiding. Like, you see a lot of times where a toddler, you know, witnesses the death of a parent or death of, you know, somebody in the house, and they are completely, you know, they're in the house, they're crying, they're in their crib, there's something, you know, like this is a weird case. And I don't know why cops are treating it so badly. Like, was the 2-year-old interviewed with a child forensic interviewer? Probably not. Exactly. Why weren't the parents allowed to see the clothes? What do the police have that we're missing? What else is there that we're missing? Something is missing. I don't know what it is. Okay, I got a message back from the investigator. He said, "Hey, Laura, we aren't doing any interviews. I'll show you guys." Hold on. "We aren't doing any interviews at the moment, but you are welcome to use all of the information we have posted publicly. We appreciate your support, and we are happy to answer questions or provide context. Thank you." Oh boy, do I have questions. We have questions. Say, we, as in my community, moment. Here is the link. Feel free to come in and stay in chat to answer some questions. Hold on, let me get the link. Alright. Alright. He has my link? How does he have my link? Hey, Alicia. Alicia, your candles are the only one that hasn't been sent out yet. I mean, that you haven't gotten it yet. They were sent out. Yeah, the grandmother needed some kind of test. But, I mean, they were only gone for a very short time. The investigators called self-harm. Why can't family get all info? I don't know. Oh, you sent it to him? What happened to the neighbor that some say we don't know? That's what I'm saying. I don't have all the answers. I don't know. Oh, I didn't give him backstage. I gave him just the channel. So they called out Blue, and she had to come ASAP. Huh? They questioned these lawnmen. I agree. Tracking says by October 4th. Oh, so you get it tomorrow. Good. Have a thought. Could it be that's what I'm thinking, that maybe an off-duty cop. But why even try to cover their own? Like, why are they trying to cover their own? He's reading everything as we speak. Well, that's good. Like, why would they want to cover their own? Like, but that's the only thing I could think of, that it has to be a cop. I can't think of any other reason. Like, I'm going through all the cases we look at, and I cannot think of another reason why they would just blow it off. But we just log in right now. Okay. Well, mom could have been friends with the boss. Was asking a question of someone in chat because it's short-term frame and time to... It's okay. You can catch the replay. One quick question I do have is, do you think that maybe this is a police officer who did this, or a police officer's son who did this? And why are they not taking the 2-year-old seriously? Is such a vital part of this, since he is, hold on, since he was found hiding. All right, so I'm going to ask them some questions this way. So what I said was one quick question that I do have. Do you think that maybe this is a police officer who did this, or a police officer's son who did this? And why are they not taking the 2-year-old seriously? He is such a vital part of this since he was found hiding. No, Yorktown has a lot of money. And with the strange circumstances, do you think it's military related? Related as an example to the stepfather, being that he was in his clothes. I know that's 2 questions. And I hope don't get mad that it's 1 a.m. and I'm sure you want to sleep. All right. So I'm asking the top questions. Can you hypnotize a 2-year-old? I don't think so. Same thing is said about Kylie's community. They all have a lot of money. I don't know. TTT to do clearance search of the parents. That's not a bad idea, Brian. It's a pretty good idea. Can you ask what is the time with I did ask that. Not that quickly? What do you know for Justice, aka Deport Nicole Arbor? You seem to know a lot. I'm just waiting for them to answer. But Brian, that's really a good idea. I asked them that, Ruby. I'm waiting for them to answer. As you can see, they read it. They haven't answered yet. I'm glad, Jen. I'm glad. Lex, how do you like your candles? Although I spelled Luther wrong. I mean, not that quickly is saying on hypnotizing. Clearance of the parents means that this guy, Triple T, is retired military, and he can look up anyone that's been in the military, their record and their clearance, what they've accomplished, what they're still in, what they're out, if they've ever been in trouble. He can look at to see what they've accomplished in their military career. Does it look shady? Is something off? It's actually a really good idea. Yeah, to see how high up they are. Okay, no, we don't think there's an affiliation. We think that this is just now an attempt to cover up an investigation errors, and it's just snowballed. Okay. That's what they wrote. I guess that kind of makes sense. It happened April of 2022, not 2021. Can look at he can. That's why Brian suggested it. He definitely can. Looking into the parents, not the best thing to do publicly. I got it sent to mom's address, and she got it. I didn't pick. Oh, you haven't seen it yet, Lex? I spelled Luther wrong. I spelled it with a O. But what about the clothes? Talking about the case, it needs to be. I agree, Kentucky Lee. Okay, here we go. As far as the clothes go, the drawers were all rummaged through. There are several theories, but the most prevalent is that larger clothes were easier to get on him, as his were tight-fitting and had to be pulled over the head. All right. He says, again, as far as the clothes go, the drawers were all rummaged through. There are several theories, but the most prevalent is that larger clothes were easier to get on him, as his were tight-fitting and had to be pulled over the head. But why would they need to change his clothes anyway? I know, they never found his shorts. They never saw his clothes. They don't know what the police have, I thought. Nope, there was no testing done on him. Yeah, I'm chatting with the PI. The neighbors do have ring bells. And nobody saw anything. But the investigators didn't even bother to ask them. They never bothered to look. Which doesn't make any sense either. He said he's not logging in, or she. I don't know if it's a girl or a guy. No other neighbors said the ring doorbell. They did, but allegedly they weren't turned on. All right, he has an answer now. So it's 1:30 in the morning over there, so I'm going to let them sleep, and I can ask some questions tomorrow. Okay, go to bed. I will speak with you tomorrow after a good night's sleep. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me now. All right, I don't want to piss them off. I mean, it's 1:30 in the morning there. Not everyone is night owls like we are. So, they did answer the 2 questions, and I let them go to bed. I don't want to bug them. I totally agree someone else did it. Absolutely someone else did it. There's nothing that will make me say otherwise. Bag came from their garage, and like the parents said, there's so much stuff. Ruled manner and cause of death very fast considering circumstances. Absolutely. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. No, Diane, I just don't want to overbear them right now at 1:30 in the morning. He or she may not have even been awake and could have. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to piss them off. You gonna piss them off doing background checks on the parents? Just saying. I don't know why his panties on the floor weren't tested. Believe me, I have a lot of questions. What I'll do tomorrow is I'll go through this live and get all the questions. I'll put a fresh pot of coffee on. We'll call them up. Shoelaces on the boots were loosely removed. No, it seems like they tried to remove them. I don't think she's going to piss anyone off. It's an unsolved case. It's tough. But I also don't know if I totally agree with the PI that, they're just trying to cover up their faults. I don't know if I believe that either. I agree, Justice. Overly helpful, and honestly, I do believe they will continue to speak to Laura, given we also show them respect. Absolutely. Oh, I know what you meant, Diane. The boy's glasses were recovered. There's one missing lens, though, that has never been found. Does anyone know what time it was? He was found at 4:50. 4:30? 4:45, somewhere around there. Nah, his underwear. The garbage bags, that's a good point. Fucking Tater, I totally agree. Hey, Joseph. Oh, you know about this, Joseph? It really is an interesting case. Where's the kid's real father? I think someone said he was dead. Did I read that correct? they were going for simplest explanation, but a lot of people saying that's normal. That when it's a case they can't explain, they'll just automatically say that, hey, it's, you know, it's no good. You know, it's a suicide. It's nothing. So it's sad. But, I mean, people looking for a mind-boggling case, I think this is it. This all happened in less than an hour. It is. And I was trying to see if there's anything else that I could find on it. And then I was like, you know what? If I don't go live about this now, it's going to be hard to go live. So I decided to do it now, give you guys all the information that I had initially. But, I mean, when I tell you, I can tell you right now. Hold on a second. Let me just tell you. When I found out about this case. I found out about this case at $8:27 p.m. is when my Patreon mentioned it. 8:27. I was live at 10:30. So it goes to show you. I didn't really, I didn't know a lot. Hold on. Oh, I haven't seen this. Hold on. This is the full police coverage. Hold on. I have not seen this yet.
The 12-year-old on April the 14th, 2022, has not been fully investigated by the sheriff's office, and that there may be a killer in our area that poses a threat. Nothing could be further from the truth. It has been the long-standing policy of the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office to not release information relating to cases of suicide, particularly those cases that involve children. We do everything within our power to preserve the privacy of the grieving family. We take these matters very seriously, evaluate all evidence, and consider all possibilities. The York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office is aware of a recent social media site created to provide the public with theories surrounding the death of this 12-year-old. Much of the information being posted to this social media site is opinion, innuendo, and fabrication, which is not consistent with the evidence that was collected by Sheriff's Office investigators during their investigation. Once that evidence was collected, it was submitted to the Department of Forensic Science for evaluation and later to the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. By law, in Virginia, it is the Chief Medical Examiner's responsibility to determine the manner and cause of death which they, the Chief Medical Examiner's Office, determined to be a suicide. In addition, the Sheriff's Office met with the family on multiple occasions and gave them the opportunity to discuss this investigation. Additionally, an offer was made to have a group meeting after the findings of the Chief Medical Examiner's Office that would include the family, members of the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office, and the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. As of this date, the family has not expressed interest in scheduling the meeting. Instead, they chose to post this video publicly. There were several key points that were made in this video that the Sheriff's Office will address. First, in the video, the mother said, "They have told me a few times that they really don't know how to investigate this kind of murder case because it's really complicated. the implication being we, the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office. That statement is absolutely not true and was never made to this mother. Our investigators are recognized in the Hampton Roads area as professional, caring, competent major crimes investigators. They have investigated and solved numerous cases that include homicides, suicides, rapes, and robberies. They have several decades of investigative experience within the division. The investigation divisions consist of graduates of the Virginia Forensic Science Academy, which has certified them as crime scene experts. Along with processing the scene and interviewing witnesses and the family, investigators interviewed a significant number of people to include surrounding neighbors, lawn care personnel, school officials, friends of the 12-year-old, and other community members. The results of these initial interviews did not identify any potential suspects. Also during the course of this investigation, the family provided information on individuals they believe may be involved in the case. Their suspicions were based on people that they merely believed to be in the area at the time of the incident. These individuals were all located, interviewed, and ruled out as persons of interest by Sheriff's Office investigators. The evidence collected and documentation shows many discrepancies in the version that was put forth on the family's page. The videos and photos you see on their social media site are not from the actual scene. They have been fabricated. First, the video of the man walking in front of their house is from 1 month after the incident, not the day of the incident. 2, the blood spatter image depicted in the video was not from the scene. However, we went back to the home on May 20th, 2022 at the request of the family. During that visit, the mother pointed out a red stain on the wall in the upstairs area of the home. Investigators photographed that stain on that date. Later, investigators reviewed the photographs that were taken on April the 14th, 2022, the day of the tragedy, and that stain was not present on that wall on April the 14th, 2022. In the mother's video, on that wall, taking on April, that stain on that date. Later, investigators reviewed the photographs that were taken on April the 14th, 2022, the day of the tragedy, and that stain was not present on that wall on April the 14th, 2022. In the mother's video, she states that her 2-year-old child witnessed the events that occurred in the house. During a recorded interview on April the 14th, 2022, between the mother and Sheriff's Office investigators, she stated when she left the house that afternoon to take her mother to an appointment, the child was asleep. When she returned home after the tragedy had been discovered, she is quoted as saying to the Sheriff's Office investigator, quote, "Thank God he was still asleep," meaning the 2-year-old. The information that she stated in her video about the 2-year-old has never been disclosed to the Sheriff's Office. In the mother's video, she states there was mud in the backyard, even refers to it as swampy. And she noted that there was no dirt on the 12-year-old's feet. Images from the day of the incident on April the 14th show that the grass was not wet and the yard was not swampy. There have been many statements on this website regarding the alleged staging. The yard was not swampy.
Okay, let me just state, even if it wasn't swampy, there's still dirt. You would still get your feet dirty. Even if it wasn't wet, you're still getting your feet dirty. Plain and simple. So this is what it looked like on 4/14. Why were both of these up over? It just doesn't add up. And this fence, nobody saw anything? Because remember, nobody even saw nobody even saw him doing it to himself. But even it doesn't matter though. Your feet would still be dirty walking on this. even right under here, your feet are going to be dirty. Plain and simple. You don't have to step on dirt to get your feet dirty. That's what I'm saying.
There have been many statements on this website regarding the alleged staging of the scene. The photo of the backyard displayed on the social media site shows a swing set and a chair. It's important to note that the swings that are wrapped over the top post of the swing set and the chair were moved by York County Fire and Life Safety personnel in order to create enough space to render life-saving measures. The chair was moved from its original location under the swing by Fire and Life Safety personnel where the 12-year-old was hanging, to the front of the swing set, and the swings were moved to provide workspace. Our investigation determined that the chair was originally located on the deck at the rear of the home and was moved to the swing set area. Also during the course of our investigation, DNA samples were collected from the cord that the 12-year-old was found suspended from. This cord was not a shoestring. It came from a motorcycle helmet bag that belonged to the stepfather that had been previously located in the garage. The 12-year-old's DNA was the only DNA found on this cord. Specifically, the DNA swabs were taken from the knot placed in that cord, and the only DNA on that knot belonged to the 12-year-old. In the video, there's an allegation that members of the YPSO, the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office, washed blood from the 12-year-old. At no point did any member of the Sheriff's Office clean or remove any blood from the scene or the child. At the hospital, investigators placed bags over the 12-year-old's hands prior to him being transported to the medical examiner's office. This is common practice to prevent the loss of any potential trace evidence. Based on the fact that the family was telling us that neighbors had information that they were providing to the family about possible suspects, our investigators went back to interview those neighbors, and none provided any additional information or new investigative leads. There is a statement in the mother's video about the unusual location of the 12-year-old's underwear. The clothing that the 12-year-old was wearing when he was located that day belonged to his stepfather, to include the stepfather's shirt, pants, belt, and stepfather's underwear. The 12-year-old's underwear were found in the same room where his stepfather's clothes were kept. In the video, the mother states that someone from the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office sent her a text that stated, quote, "Time to move on." To our knowledge, that statement was never made. We have done some research and have not been able to locate a text message telling the family to move on. The only text similar to this was a text between the investigator and the mother, where the mother states to...
Hold on. Someone just said who was that? Kate. Excellent point. She said, and that cord would have DNA from multiple people. 100% correct. That cord would not have just his DNA. It was a motorcycle helmet. It would have the parents' DNA, unless it was wiped down. It would have other people's DNA. 150% correct.
The investigator, quote, "It is time to heal." Several theories were presented to the Sheriff's Office investigators by the family. The first theory provided to the family about what happened that day stated that they believed that this was a burglary, and during the burglary, their 12-year-old was sexually assaulted and murdered. However, Sheriff's Office investigators found no evidence of an intruder, and laboratory and medical evaluations of forensic evidence sent to the laboratory found no signs of sexual assault. The second theory presented by the family was that this was carried out as a military-type operation directed at them, the family, due to their rank in the United States Air Force. And finally, they identified 3 different people based solely on speculation that they frequented the neighborhood. All 3 of these people were located, and Sheriff's Office investigators eliminated them as persons of interest in this incident. We did not address every inconsistency or fabrication from the social media site. We conducted a thorough, professional, and exhaustive investigation. There is nothing whatsoever to indicate that there is a killer in our community. As I stated at the beginning of this video, it is our policy not to discuss these issues in public, particularly when they involve children. However, the social media site has caused great concern within our community. We still extend an invitation to the family to meet with members of this agency and the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner to discuss the results of the autopsy and our investigation.
My nigga ain't got a goddamn thing. Bitch, you don't close no door in here. This is my door. Leave my door alone. This mine. This mine.
Get out my face.
This mine.
No woman to say nothing to me. If you a whole female and you put a fucking nigga before your
What
fucking head,
Raymond got to do with you? What Raymond got to do with you? What Raymond got to do with you picking up behind your child? What do he got to do from you picking up behind your child?
Damn. All right. Just wow, oh wow on that police officer. I don't know what that was. It's a video that played after. Do you guys think it's corruption? I don't know. Oh, all right, hold on.
Ma'am? Ma'am?
Why all these videos come after? I want to go back to the police.
Yeah. Are you Clayton?
Alright, this is where I was. Alright.
What happened to Sean? A York County boy's death leaves his family with questions. York, on April 14th, a 12-year-old York County boy was found hanging from a swing set in his backyard. Sean Daugherty's death was ruled a suicide. But recently, after being frustrated by what they say are unanswered questions, the family launched a social media campaign and wants the case reopened. According to Ramona and Jared Rivas, Sean's mother and stepfather, Sean was a bright, happy boy who the night before his death was laughing and joking with family. The family's campaign prompted the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office to respond last week, saying the death was fully investigated. "We take these matters very seriously, evaluate all evidence and consider all possibilities," Major Ron Montgomery said in a videotaped statement posted on the office's Facebook page. Much of the information being posted to this social media site is opinion, innuendo, and fabrication, which is not consistent with the evidence that was collected by Sheriff's Office investigators during their investigation. Sean's family, however, wants another agency to investigate. They still have too many questions, they say. That April afternoon, Sean's sister Maria found him hanging from the swing set. He was later pronounced dead at Riverside Regional Medical Center in Newport News. When the sheriff's office ruled the death a suicide, the Rivases were confused. "He loved Marvel, he loved Disney, he loved his family, but most importantly, he loved life," Jared Rivas said. One of Sean's favorite things to do was read. In fact, at a book fair a few years back, Sean spent $107 of his own money on new books. Sean, a 6th grader at Tabb Middle School who dreamed of one day becoming president, was one of 4 siblings, including an older sister and 2 younger brothers. According to his family, he was the kindest of them all, sometimes bringing extra food for a friend at school. The autopsy report from the State Office of the Chief Medical Examiner states that Sean was found partially suspended by a shoelace-type string that was tied to the swing set. While hanging, there was reportedly a nylon bag over his head and belt strapped around his abdomen, pinning both of his arms to his side, the report says. It is also noted that he was wearing his stepfather's clothes and was barefoot. His glasses were on the ground nearby. No note was found. In the parents' bedroom, Sean's underwear was on the floor. The dresser doors were open. Before his death, Sean was babysitting his 2-year-old brother at the house while Ramona Rivas took her mother to a doctor's appointment. Sean was excited to watch his little brother, Ramona said. Jared Rivas, meanwhile, was in Williamsburg with their second youngest son for an appointment. During Sean's last moments, he completed his homework, started taking out the trash, made a snack, and even had a quick phone call with his mother, about an hour before his body was discovered. In the medical examiner's report, it is noted that no known history of depression or suicidality was found. It does note that the police investigation raised the possibility of bullying at school, but his family said that, except for one incident in December, they're unaware of any other bullying and said Sean didn't seem to be overly upset by it. His family questions how the examiner and police were drawn to the conclusion of suicide, especially with Sean's behavior the night before. The night before he passed, Ramona bought some cookies, and a couple of them were carrot cake. He was so excited about that cookie. He was like, "Mom, this is great, mwah." "It's so good," Jared said, remembering Sean doing a comical chef's kiss in response to the cookie, eliciting laughter from the rest of the family. Soon after, Sean had his normal catch-up session with his mom before bed. Every night, no matter what, he would come up and follow Ramona around. He would just follow her around and talk to her about whatever they talked about, Jared Rivas said. And that was the same thing Wednesday night before he passed. Every time the catch-up sessions got finished, he'd turn and look at us. He'd go, "Well, good night, guys. I love you," and bounced down the hall. The family was expecting to move soon. Ramona Rivas is a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force, and she recently had accepted a new position at the Pentagon. Once she got the call, she told her family the news at dinner. Sean jumped up screaming with excitement and said he couldn't wait to tell his friends that his mother worked for the Pentagon. He wanted to know if he could go into the Pentagon and get some of the milk chocolate candies with the iconic building stamped on top. "On the first day when I went into the Pentagon, I went into the chocolate shop and bought one. It's next to Sean's picture," she said. In August, the Rivas family didn't want to stay silent anymore, they said, and the social media campaign ignited. Signs with @WhatHappenedTozian started appearing across town, and a Facebook page titled "What Happened to Sean" formed. The family also started a petition on change.org called "What Happened to Sean" in hopes of someone reopening Sean's case. "We don't want this to be a fight with the York-Poquoson sheriff. All we're asking for is another option," Jared Rivas said. "I mean, you hear how we're describing him the night before he passed. We all just got back from a cruise and he got his passport done on Tuesday, April 12th, which he was thrilled about. He didn't know he was going to be alone until he got home from school. He couldn't have planned this." Beyond the statement released on Facebook, no more details about the case will be released to the public, said Sheriff's Office spokeswoman Shelley Ward. "We just wanted to get out our information to put their minds at ease," Ward said. "There's not someone in our community that's out killing people, and we're not investigating it. We take all matters seriously." The medical examiner's office also made a statement, saying that in cases where a family disagrees with the cause of death, they are given an opportunity to present any new information. "In cases where the family suspects that someone killed their loved one, we ask families to contact the investigating law enforcement agency immediately to express their concerns," the statement continues. "We advise that law enforcement should be involved as they need to conduct the necessary follow-up on the new information. If law enforcement determines the information to be pertinent to our death investigation, then they will present it to our office and the medical examiner will evaluate this new information to determine if cause of death and/or manner of death needs to be amended. According to the Rivas's, there were many things out of place the day of Sean's death. All they want is for someone to give the case another look. We're not investigators, we're just parents that lost an amazing kid, Jared Rivas said. No matter what, no one can argue that he doesn't deserve a second shot. Abby Crank, abby.crank@virginiamedia.com. Copyright 2022, Daily Press. Copyright 2022, Daily Press.
So I figured that was better than you guys hearing me read again. Quick poll, see 12%. On a quick poll, it's only 50 votes, but 12% say suicide. I'm surprised. Not in this manner with the, I agree. I just can't see a suicide. It's in my description, Nicole, Justice. It's in my description. The link is in my description. You cannot commit suicide with your hands tied to a belt. I totally agree with the bag over your head. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, I'll post it again, but it is. It's in my description. It shows you how long I've been on Change.org. It's from Eldridge, Iowa. I haven't lived in Eldridge since I was 12. I mean, since 2012. Here's the link again. Oh, shit, you can't even post the link. Hold on. Oh. Because I believe he was murdered. I gotta make sure it's not gonna show my address. Well, then again, it doesn't matter. It's an old address. Share on Facebook. Shared. Yeah, come on, not coming up. Suicidal people leave notes. They leave something. Something. But I'm sorry. I believe that this was straight up murder. Totally murder. Crazy. Here's the Facebook link, by the way, if anybody wants it. Now, I have not gone through all the comments on it because I just don't trust people on Facebook groups. So, they don't leave a peach in a bowl. I agree. It's crazy. Okay, so what the autopsy report from the State Office of the Chief Medical Examiner states that Sean was found partially suspended by a shoelace type string that was tied to the swing set. There's also a GoFundMe that has not raised much. She has a $20,000 goal. Only a $5,000 has been raised. Surprised me. 10 to Life covered this a couple of days ago. I just saw on Google. There's the GoFundMe. I don't know who Tizzy is. But they keep saying Tizzy sent me from Twitter. I'll show you guys. Came from TikTok. Started on July 24th. They've only raised $5,000. Who's Tizzy? See, 10 to Life covered it. That's a different person. Yeah, it's the same story over and over. All right. Yeah, Desiree, I didn't hear of it until 8:30 tonight. See, but all the people that covered it, I don't watch. And I legit haven't been around in a couple of days. Oh, all right. I guess it's bedtime. No, the sister's boyfriend didn't get there before she did. 6 months ago. I hope they get justice too, honestly. Me neither, Justice. Me neither. And this week was crazy. All right, so 12% think murdered. I'm sorry. 12% said suicide. 88% said murdered. Grizzly has best coverage, keeps it factual. Did I not just keep it factual? Where's the proof 2-year-old said that? Ellie doesn't say it. Only the mother's word. 2-year-old more than likely never said that. Why would the mother lie? I have been working like mad. And I still get blamed. So let me tell you the new idea I came up with. Okay? This is what the candle poll is all about. I don't know why it hit me, but this is what I came up with. I have to order more vessels. And I looked at inventory and I looked at what everybody was buying. Almost 3/4 of my orders are for 4-ounce candles. And I think that's due to price. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to knock out a lot of candles. Like take them off the market. I'm out of a lot of vessels anyway. I'm going to keep all the food candles are still going to be there. All the beer candles, all that. That is staying. But as far as the regular candles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do specific 9-ounce candles. But majority of my candles, I had this idea that the main, I'm going to order vessels of the 4-ounce, and I'm going to order a case of black, and I'm going to order a case of white, and I'm going to streamline them. I'm going to do white wax and black candles and black wax and white candles, all for the same $23. And I'm going to focus on that besides the beer, besides the food candles. But that is going to be the majority of candles are going to be white vessel with black wax and black vessel with white wax. What do you think? What do you think? My candle people. But I think I'm going to not order more 9-ounce. I'm going to stick to the 4-ounce. There you go. Because that seems to be what a lot of people are ordering. And I think it's due to price. So candle people, what do you think? I thought I was buying black candles. A special candle? Just tell me what you need, Ruby. But isn't that a good idea? I don't know. It hit me before. That, the colors are great, but they're annoying. And they screw up the wicks. And I'm like, you know what? It's like one of the things that I learned at the fair is I want to make them cleaner, but I think doing just the black and white is a good idea. But I want to also give people choices, but they can get choices in the 9 ounces if they want color. But strictly for the signature candles, it's going to be the same vessels that you get in the black or the white, but it's going to be the 4-ounce version of the vessel. That sounds like a good plan. Shipping and handling depends where you are. I knew what you meant, Joseph. So for the show, I did your wicks is screw. What do you mean? What happened to your wicks? So for I love black wax or white wax. See, there you go. Sounds like a good plan. Can you say the name of 3 months missing 16-year-old autistic girl from Georgia, Kaylee Jones? Yeah, I haven't looked into it. I have plenty of wax melts. I have a shitload of wax melts that are made already. Some people like to do simple looks, cream, beige, vanilla, so do light wax in light or tan vessels. Well, I do have gray. I have wine. I still have white. I have 9 ounces that are gold, pink. I have tons. But, oh, you're having a problem with the wick, Jerry? Do you have the wood wick or I'll remake it. You have the wood wick or the cotton wick? That shouldn't have happened. Keep the wax white. I'm going to. But that's what I'm saying. The white vessel will have black wax. Black wax. Do you have the woodwick or a cotton wick? Do you have the cotton wicks and it did that? Which candle? You're welcome, Jen. That shouldn't have happened though, Jerry. I gotta look at your order. Because that shouldn't have happened. I'll resend it. Some melts is add-on for $1 each. I couldn't sell wax melts that cheap. They cost me more than that to make them. And that happened with your wick? You never heard of what, Justice? A wick being messed up? It could happen. I don't make wicks, so it can happen. No, Jerry, I will. I don't like that. I don't like hearing that. And it's happened. It's below half, and it just happened? That shouldn't have happened, though. Did you let it all melt the first time? Yeah, it can happen with any wick. You can get a bad wick in a batch. I mean, I order them by hundreds, but you can get a bad wick. It's not that, it's not the first time I've had a bad wick. I've not heard that, but then again, I'm no expert. Oh, no, it happens. It can definitely happen. I absolutely stand behind it. Didn't you order more than one, or you only ordered one? I don't know. I'll remake it, though. I'll send it. I'll resend it. TJ Maxx candles do that. Wicks crumble. All over the place, Nicole. I use like 7 different manufacturers. You should do gel. I do gel candles. Yeah, Jerry, I'll resend it. I would try to trim in the whole... Is it a 4-ounce? What about the other candle? Didn't you order 2? Order one you give... How's the other candle? I'll resend the rainforest. Hey, Kim. Is the other candle good? So the other candle, it's just that one? Yeah, it may have just been a bad wick. A spare wick with... I can only send a spare wood wick. I can't send a cotton wick. Orchard sea salt, and it's white and very good. Okay. The rainforest was black? It was black, right? Yeah, I may not have... It could be my fault. I may not have used the right wick for a black candle. Is it a black candle? Without looking up the order? I think it was. If memory serves me right. It's like a dark green. Yeah, it may be my fault. I may have used the wrong wick for a dark color. It's possible. It's definitely possible. It was my fault. That's also why white wax is so much easier. Because you don't have to worry about different wicks. I mean, you still have to worry about different wicks, but it's easier. You don't have to, like, different scents, you need different wicks. But yeah, I'll remake it, Jerry. Do I have to? Oh, I don't mind. I stand by my stuff. If somebody has a problem or, you know, that it's a bad wick or something's wrong, I have no problem replacing it. You know, if she says that she burned it all right, I believe her. I have no problem replacing it. I've told everybody that. Okay. Anyone know where it was said 2-year-old spoke? The mom said it. That 2-year-old spoke. Oh, I could send you just a wood wick. I'll still remake the candle, though. Because I'm like that. What would make a wick not work? If you don't use... Alright, so if I'm normally going to use like a size, let's say in a small vessel like that, I would usually use like a 6. But when you use color, you have to use like a 10 or it's not going to work. And I may have already put the wick in, you know, and glued the wick on, and then went back and looked at it and saw that it was a dark color and never replaced the wick. So she got like a size 6, and it's not going to work with a black candle or a very dark candle. It's going to end up collapsing. And not collapsing, but it's going to end up not working because it's not strong enough. That's what it is. So that's a difference. But most of the time, I get it right. But sometimes I get it wrong. I mean, perfect, I'm not. But yeah, color, when you add mica, color, all that plays a part in how strong your wicks are going to be. So, but yeah, Jerry, I'll get you one out this week, I promise. Someone loves their product if they offer customer satisfaction in this capacity. That's points for you. Oh, absolutely. Is that a lens? No, a 6 is just a size. It's a thickness size. Length is 6-inch, 10-inch. I didn't know what that meant until after I got them. Yeah, my candles aren't your typical, you know, go to TJ Maxx and buy it. Mica is the sparkly stuff that destroys wicks. If I use even a little bit too much mica, it's not going to work. I'm kind of fading out the mica. Could you just always use chunky size just in case? No, because if you use a wick that's too big, it'll burn everything. Like I did that in the beginning. I used wicks that were too big, and that's why like MGL would say that, you know, you had to watch the candle because it was too much of a flame. Is a big difference. Luxury candle has to do with the wick. I'm sorry, with the wax, how it melts. That kind of stuff. That's a nice smooth melt, and it scents everywhere. And a luxury also has to do with packaging, which, I'm getting better at. But yeah, I mean, so far out of the last probably 30 orders, I only got one complaint with the wick, so I think that's pretty good. But, alright, I am going to shut down. Oh, MGF candles were, coconut. Oh my god, vanilla. Now I totally forgot. They were like a vanilla and coconut. Now you're making me look up the exact scent. What is a vessel? That's what the candle comes in. Vanilla and coconut sugar. Yeah, natural creamy vanilla and coconut sugar. It is decadent warm vanilla glaze. Light and creamy coconut dances with vanilla and a touch of brown sugar for a sweetie subtle treat. It has creamy honey, coconut, caramel, monk fruit, brown sugar, and vanilla bean. That is the MGL candle. Thank you, Tina. And she won't find that scent from anywhere else because the manufacturer I use is a very high-end manufacturer for scents. And if you're not a luxury candle maker, you would never pay for these prices for some materials. That's how I know that the person that she's getting it from will not find this scent. Unless they order from this manufacturer. And it's way expensive. It's an expensive brand. So yeah. But that was her candle. And that's why I laughed when other people are going to buy it. Yeah, okay. Good luck with that. Oh. Debbie Collier update. Before I go, let's check out this update. Couldn't find a cotton linen scent. Yeah, it's fresh linen. It's on there, Gator. I'll have to look, but I know it's on there. I have it. I have a new one called Clothesline. But this week, I promise. Tomorrow, I'm working on the website. Like, this week, I'm all, whatchamacallit? I'm all, in. I just had to get this week over with. Beating, I had to get last week over with. Where did she just send that? All right. That's cool, Texas. All right, new chilling clue in Debbie Collier case after cops release image of a rented van taken moments before her murder. Chilling clue has been revealed. Collier's Chrysler Pacifica was seen by traffic cameras by Tallulah Falls in Georgia on 2/17. A few miles from where her body was found. Photo adds a growing timeline authorities of the building to determine her movements. Guy's husband adds to said he last saw her. The Venmo payment was sent at 3/17. Seen shopping. Okay, so where is this new evidence? Guys, remember when Gray came in here and said it's a suicide? You guys don't know what you're talking about? Funny how he changed his mind. Now he's like, it's not a suicide. No, really? Duh. Yeah, there's no real new evidence. I don't see how this is a clue. But okay. I think it was clickbaiting. Because there's nothing new. Nothing new at all. Let's see what else. Hold on. Okay, investigators have called Jared a few times that day to talk about the items that Sean was dressed in and also about the bag that was found in his head, on his head. They explained that it was a silver gray bag with a black shoe on it. Immediately, Jared thought of the old motorcycle helmet bags he had in the garage in a pile for Goodwill. And he and Ramona went out to the garage to see if they were missing. There was one missing and one still there, but missing the string. Someone had taken the string out of 2 bags to suspend Sean, but left the second bag in the garage. This made them really uneasy. Jared and Ramona are both military, and every military family knows how much... Yeah, I read this already. Did they try to put boots on him? Sean also said he had his own drawstring bags in the gym. Why would he not grab a necktie? Well, yeah, I read that. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, I talked to investigators. Now I'm 99% homicide. Like, great, sit down. We all fucking knew this forever ago. Trying to lie to us and shit. Trying to call us dumb. Crazy, crazy. So, alright. I am getting off now. I'll see you all later. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8:30. We're back to normal time. And that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow night, 8:30. Have a wonderful night. I'm going back to bed, even though I slept like an angel. I slept so good last night. By the time Sage got out of a shower at 7 o'clock, I was out cold. I woke up at 6. And I'm trying to get back on a normal schedule. Since I've been up till like 6 in the morning. We're trying not to do that anymore. Going back to a normal schedule, a normal life. And I will see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Possible I'll be on earlier. But yeah, I'll see you guys at 8:30. Peace. And thank you, Kara. Thank you guys for super chats. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to try to do some research and find out what else I can find on this story. And if anyone has anything, email me. But as of right now, I think I covered pretty much all that I could find. So hopefully I'll find more. All right? So again, email me. Love you too, Joseph. Email me and with some more info. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.